Hello everyone, Denise here. So today I'm going to show you how I altered my Red Heart all-in-one Granny Flower Power, the yarn that I reviewed recently. I'll link that review below so you can see it. I altered my squares and I joined them and I edged my blanket. So I'm going to share all of that with you in this video. Let's get started. These are the squares worked up as per the pattern, and then I want to show you what I did to change them a bit to be, I don't know, more pleasing to look at. As it is, unless you're real close up on these, you don't really see that light pink. So I decided I would change it a bit because I think it's too light. The pink is too light in this color. And of course my hair is in there because why wouldn't it be? It's just really hard to see that pink unless you're right in front of it. That's better. So I'm going to change it a bit, and I want to show you what I'm doing with it. First of all, I wanted to show you all of the ends that I'm very proud that I got 24 inches plus on all of them so far. I think I have a few more that I have to make. However, I want to show you the square that I altered. I did a little something different. I'm gonna find it. Oh, it's right here. So I didn't have any red heart, any pink red heart, and I didn't want to purchase any because I want to use what I have. So this is my altered square. I added an edging to the flower petals. Now I know it doesn't look like a true cherry blossom, and that's fine with me. It's, you know, that's what we do. We take the project and we make it our own. We make it so that we can enjoy it and like it, and, you know, to the person that we gift it to if we're gifting it. Now I took some pink that I had. The one that was very, very close to the one that I used was just yarn. It was just yarn by Premier. I think it's their berry color, but I'll peek in a minute. It's a little darker than this one. Any pink will work if you have, you know, if you're in the same sort of family type of pinks. I think it works really, really well with this pink. The inside pink is like boom, but you know, whatever. I can't, otherwise I'm just creating another square, right? So using the granny square, the Granny Flower Power all-in-one, I like the colorway, but I do think the pink needed to be just a little bit darker, the petals of the flower. I understand why they're not. Like I said, it's cherry blossom and that's the way it goes. Maybe the pink in the center could be just, maybe it could have been this color. Maybe I would be happier if it was that color. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I did this so that if you want to do any of the flowers of any of the yarns of the Flower Power or any other flower motif in a granny square that you want, this one is the Daisy Do. So if you decide that you want to go around this one, although this one has dark around it, so that actually works out really nicely. This one is super light and light. So, you know, I'll show you what I did. I took a smaller hook. I used a 5mm on this. I'm using, I believe this is a 4.5. No, this is a 3.5. This is the one that I used. I started on any petal that you want to start on. So if you're looking at it, you can see the cream is coming down and the pink is hiding behind because we went over the light pink with the cream color. So I'm going to take the yarn and I just joined it wherever. It does not matter. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to work in between the cream section. See this little loop right here? This little loop right here, we're going to work in them. So start wherever you want. Don't start right here. but start on any part of the petal that you want. So I'm going to start right here and then attach your color. Now chain 1 to secure it. We're going to do slip stitching and chaining. Okay, forget about your tail. We'll weave that in when we're done. I chained 2 in between each one that I did. Now I'm going to this next bar right here. I'm going to slip up in there and I'm going to do a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2, go over to my next bar, see right here, between those 2 cream colored stitches, and I'm going to do another slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 2 more. Go into this next bar right here that's pink. It's really hard to tell because the pink is so light. Chain 2. Go to the next bar, slip. Try not to do it too tight, but also not too loose. Chain 2. In between the next 2, right here. Chain 2. In between the next 2. Chain 2. Now we're to our treble, in between our treble and our double here. We're going to chain 2, and then I did not want to go over the stitch that came way down. So what I did was, looking at the work right here, you can see where it goes into that stitch. I came down to the top of this stitch right here, this double crochet, and I grabbed 1 loop out of that double crochet and I slip stitch into that. See how it comes down? Right at the top of that double crochet, I'm just going to take 1 loop. Come on, stitch. There we go. Slip into that. Chain 2. Now we're on the other side. We're starting the next petal. Right here, that's where I started over here. Slip stitch into that one. Chain 2. We're going to keep repeating that all the way around. This is the next bar right here. And we're going to chain 2. We're just gonna keep doing that all the way around, going in between the cream colored stitches, going into the pink ones and slip stitching, chaining 2, go into the next one. If chain 1 works better for you, do that. If chain 3 works better for you, do that. Whatever works for you, do that. You will keep going all the way around to each petal, just like I showed. And then when you get down to the end, you're gonna slip stitch into this top of that double crochet right there, and then pull your yarn through and connect it with that one. And then weaving in the ends, I did this. Let me show you. Since this is an end I need to weave in, why not do it now? I took, because you can see this on this side, okay? I took little bits on this side and went up and through, staying on the top part of the blanket or the square, just running my needle that way. And then I I didn't pull tight, but I pulled through, and then I went back this way, and then again went back the other way. Just like this. So that the ends stay on this side of the square and don't have to interact at all on the other side, because it doesn't go through. This stitching doesn't go through to the other side. And then snip it off. And then all of your squares will end up like this, and then I will show you how I'm going to join. Okay, I have all my squares done. I'll insert a picture here so that you can see them before I join them. Okay, so I got 12 squares and then a flower out of the whole ball of yarn. Obviously, I added pink to all of mine, but 12 squares, really good. So I'm going to join them together. This is the zigzag join. It's been around for eons and eons. So I'm going to take my pink yarn over here, and I'm going to show you how I have done the zigzag join. Take your squares and make sure they're facing the right side to you. And if you don't know which side is the right side, it's the side that if you have not weaved in the ends, you'll have a tail hanging out on the side. Now, as you're working your squares, my squares, I want all of my petals to face the same way. So my one petal is facing up on all of my squares, and that's the way I want it on my blanket. So I'm going to make sure every time I join squares, they are in the correct position. You want to keep your yarn in between the two squares. That helps it stay zig and zagged. Go from the top to the bottom in your corner. Join your slip knot to your hook. You can use whatever size hook you want for this. Obviously, the larger the hook, the looser the stitches. And the smaller the hook, the tighter the stitches. So the slip knot is now on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through, secure it to that corner. And then when you join corners, making sure the yarn is below your granny squares, in between your granny squares like this at all times. Put your hook in top to bottom just like that. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through the one on your hook. Okay, now you can kind of reposition and get ready to do the rest of your join. It is fidgety, but it's not hard. It's just a little tedious. Next stitch or space, so if you want to go into the corner again, you sure can. Or you could go into the next stitch. It's up to you. I'm going to go into the corner again because I think it needs it. Yarn over, pull through. Going to go into the other corner again. Yarn below, remember. Yarn over, pull up, pull through. You may need to tighten or loosen your stitches as you're working the zigzag. Next stitch, you're going to go in, yarn over, pull up, pull through. Next stitch over here, yarn over, pull up, pull through. I'm going to do that over and over again until I get to the end. When I get to the end, I'm going to join 2 more granny squares, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. It's a little fidgety, but it's not hard. It's just you got to make some choices on how your grannies are going to sit before you stitch them together. Just make sure everything is aligned the way you want it. So just keep doing that all the way down. Make sure your yarn is staying below your hook and not above. I know I have the habit of wanting to keep my yarn up here on the other side, and it needs to go down below. so that it zigs and zags correctly. So I have to be mindful too. So I'm going to meet up with you in just a little bit when I get to the end of my grannies. Okay, so once you get to the end of your 2 squares and you're adding more, make sure your squares are facing the right way. If you have a certain way that you're making them face, make sure both of them are facing up, good sides up, and do the same thing that you did with your first 2 squares. However, if you are starting on the right side, as you're like, if you were looking at the work, if you start on that side over there, skip over to this side to start your next square. So I'm in the corner over here. I'm going to pull up my loop, and I am going to jump to this corner over here and pull up my loop. I'm going to jump to this corner over here, put my yarn down, pull up my loop, and keep working back and forth. Sometimes you'll have to fidget more in the corners and get things lined up more. On your way back across the other way, I will show you what I do when I do the side zigzag. It's more or less just making it look the best you can over the existing stuff. So right here, when I come down and work this way, I'll show you what I do with that. Essentially, you're gonna work the same way that you're working this one. It just will look a little more jumbled in this section because you'll have 2 that cross. So I'll be back in a minute when I am to that portion. Okay, so when you do the side seam of the blanket, how I'm going to do it is I'm going to do the zigzag like I have been doing it. When I get to the intersection of the 2 squares, I am just going to carefully go around on top of them. Oops, this needs to go down. Just connecting my last 2 corners here. I want to make sure that it doesn't look bare, you know? I want to make sure that it doesn't look like a mess and it doesn't look bare at the same time. So what I'm doing is I am just still zigzagging. However, I'm going to jump over and look at it and decide. That's probably okay. I'm going to jump over to the next one. I'm in the one closest to me, so I'm going to jump over to this one and see what it looks like. Otherwise, I might come back and do that one, but I'm going to jump over to this side and see what that's going to look like once I get each side done on that, and then decide if I need to go back and maybe redo that because I don't know. So do a couple more stitches here and then decide what I want to do on the intersection. And each one will be different. So every intersection you have with your squares, you kind of have to just sort of make this decision on how you're going to want it to look. And it's up to you. There's not a science to it. I think it's just kind of feeling your way through it. All right, I'm going to look now and look at that intersection and see what I think about it. It's kind of hard to see from where I'm at. I mean, I think it looks okay. I think I'll probably pop back and go over here. I feel like that's too bare. It's not zigzaggy enough there, so I'm going to go back and just do this side one more time. I think it needs it. So over here, I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to do another zig or zag. Then I think I will pop over to this side and continue on. It's tough because, you know, you want to make sure it looks okay to you. And that's just it, right? It needs to look okay to you. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think it works well. I think I'm just overlooking it at this point. And I also have ends that I need to weave in. So I think I'm good with that. I'm going to continue on. Going to go across each row. I'm going to do each sideway row, and then I will be back to you to show you how I'm going to do the outside border. It will not be zigzag, so I will be back to you in just a moment. So I'm going to start the edging on the blanket. I have everything else joined. It needs an edging though, it's unfinished, right? So it needs something. So I'm going to take the same yarn that I used to join with, which is Ice Yarns. This is Softly Baby color something. It's a lightweight 3, but it is really a 4. It's half acrylic and half polyamide. I don't see a color. It's like medium pink though, if they still sell it. I've had this for quite a while. So I'm going to go around the edge first in regular single crochet, just to start out as like a base for the reverse single crochet stitch. So I'm going to start on, you can start on any corner. I'm going to start on this one and slip stitch into it, chain 1, and then as per usual, as you're working on the edge of any blanket and you don't have a set amount of stitches, just work the stitches into the spaces that are comfortable. Also, don't put too many stitches and don't put too little stitches. You can also keep track of how many stitches you put on your edge and then mimic that on all 4 corners if you have a square. Or if you have a top and a bottom, you can mimic the amount that you did on one to the other. I'm usually not that formal. I usually just go. And yeah, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I have to pull back. Sometimes I have to readjust. That's the way it goes when you wing it, but I like to wing it. So I do most of the time. And that's what I'm going to do for this blanket. Essentially, I'm just going to put a single crochet in the stitches I already have, as you can see right here. But then once I get to like the joins, I'm just going to fidget around and make it look decent and put a single crochet where it feels right. See, like right here, I'll probably like stick one here. Maybe I'll pop one over here because I want it to look semi-uniform, right? Pop one right here. Maybe I'll put that one around the corner. Maybe I'll do 2 there. Yep. See, I'm just figuring out as I go. So as far as this part goes, there's not a science to it. Just make it look good to you. Trust your instincts. You got this. In each corner, I'm going to do 3 single crochets to turn the corner. Typically on a corner, I'll do 3 single crochets. This one has a chain 3 on it, so 3 should fit in there beautifully. I don't know if that's bugging me or not. If that bothers you, the way this is dipping down, you could do a half double, a couple of half double crochets there and raise it up. Let's try that, see what that looks like. Because you might need to do that on the corners of your joins there. Let's do a half double crochet and see what that looks like, because that should bring it up a bit. Half double, and then I did a couple of different ones. So I'll do a half double there. Come on, yarn. Nope, I need a single there, I think. Let's try half double here so we can fill in this gap. Do a half double there. I'm gonna dip down here and go into this zigzag and pop a half double there. Then I'm gonna do single crochet and see if that evens it out a bit. Yeah, I mean, that helps. So just do what feels good to you. I think that's the way it should be. To sit and try to count all this out is far too much time than I have. So if you have that time, I encourage you to do whatever makes you happy. I'm going to keep doing this, and once, like I said, once I get to the corners, I'm going to do 3 single crochet in them. If I hit another spot where I need to fill in a stitch, I'm going to do half doubles there. So I'm just going to keep working, and I will be back to you once I get my single crochet edging done, and then I'll show you how to do the reverse single crochet if you're interested in doing that. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so my edging is done, the single crochet. I'm going to show you how to do reverse single crochet in case you're interested in that. I think this looks really good though. Like, I really like the way this looks, but I will show you how to do reverse single crochet just in case you want to do it. So starting with where you left off on your edging, no matter where you started, you can start there as well. So if you are joining to, like me, in the corner, you can start there. It's no big deal. So chain 1, and now we're going to do a reverse single crochet. And how you do that is you put your hook in the stitch behind you, and I like putting my finger on it to keep track of that loop. Okay, and then we're going to pull up a loop and then finish like a normal single crochet. And then you go to the next one and you do the same thing. That's all there is to it. Just try to keep your yarn over and your loop together, and then yarn over and have them lay nice. Sometimes you gotta fidget and get them to lay right if your yarn is getting out of order, but essentially you're just going in reverse and you're doing a single crochet. And how that works out on your blanket is it's going to put a little bit of a rope edging on it. See that? Isn't that pretty? I really like that. So versus the single crochet or the reverse single crochet, whatever one that you want to do, I think it's going to be gorgeous. I think the reverse single crochet goes really nice with the edging that I put around the flowers. So I might just finish it that way. So I'll be back to you and let you know my decision and show you the blanket when it's all done. Yeah, that's definitely way prettier, I think, with a reverse single crochet. So I'm going to keep doing that. Make sure that you are on the front side of your work when you're doing your reverse single crochet. Otherwise, the back of it, this is what it looks like. It's still pretty, but it's less of a rope look. Oops. So make sure that you're doing it on the right side of your work. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Like I said, I will be back to you when I am done with my blanket, but I do really, really like the reverse single crochet. So I'm going to go in every stitch that I made last round, including the corners. I'm going to do 3 reverse single crochet in each corner, and I will meet back up to you when I'm done to talk about the blanket and show you. Okay, I'm at the end, so I'm going to join. Typically what I do is I will cut my yarn and then I just join it with my needle because it is easier than doing it with your crochet hook. So grab a needle here. Through my loop. I typically just dive into the first reverse because since it is more of a knotty and not like a stitch, it's just easier to sort of just sew in and around to make it look better. See? And then just weave in your end by scooting along the back here. And then you only have one other end if you didn't have to detach your yarn or reattach it. And then we will take a look at the blanket. I might go out into the living room so you can see the whole thing. It's not a gargantuan blanket, but it is too large for my desk, which is almost the size of a table, but it's technically a desk. All right, I will go to the living room and show it to you. Here is my blanket finished. I will tell you the measurements of it. Lighting in here is not great, but it does lay out nicely so you can see it in its entirety. It's a rectangle. I think our granddaughter is going to love it. So I will measure it and let you know what it measures. Okay, it is 26 inches in length and 21 inches across. Okay, so that is what I did with the cherry blossom of the Flower Power by Red Heart. I do have another one called Daisy Dew, and it is gray and yellow. It is nowhere near me, so I can't show it to you. But when I work that one up, I will share if I alter anything on those or how I join it and let you know. So thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate you. Until next time, guys. Bye.